Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in, and welcome to Week 6 Power Rankings. We have 5 weeks concluded. We start to see a little bit more where teams really are. And then today, we're going to give our grade for each of the 32 teams. But before I give my rankings, make sure you guys leave this video a like, as it always helps this channel to continue to grow and to beat the algorithm. And if you are one of those that are not subscribed, go ahead and click the sub button and notification bell so you will not miss any of the videos that I post. But let's get into these power rankings. Without further ado, let's dive into it. All right, let's get into this first team. We got the Arizona Cardinals. They've been a tough team to grade. It's either a good Cardinals team or you have bad Cardinals team. I think I'm going to put the Cardinals. I think I'm going to put them in a mid-tier grade, which is a B. I'm not a big believer in this Cardinals team from jump. They are just so inconsistent, and it all leads with Kyler Murray being inconsistent. Next, we're going to have the Atlanta Falcons coming off of a almost very close comeback win against Tampa. I'm going to put them at a C. This Falcons team, they show a lot of fight. They just don't have a lot of talent just yet. They show a lot of fight, just don't have the talent to necessarily make the moves yet. And they just traded Deion Jones to the Cleveland Browns, so I'm going to put them in a C. Next, the Baltimore Ravens coming off of a win against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to put them at an A. Lamar Jackson kind of struggled a little bit in that contest against the Bengals, but defensively, I think the secondary still has to get together. But when this team is clicking and they're running, they are a very solid football team. So I'm going to put the Baltimore Ravens in an A. Next is the Buffalo Bills. Easily, I believe, the best team in football. The best team in football, still in my opinion, even though they don't have the best record per se, but I still believe the Bills are the best team in football, and Josh Allen is the league MVP right now. And that defense, this team is special. Next is the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to put them in a D. They just fired Matt Rule. Baker Mayfield's dealing with an injury. This team has underperformed. I really believed going into this year that the Carolina Panthers will be a team that will be in some type of contention in that division, some type of a playoff hunt. They just looked awful this year. And they've had pieces. They just looked bad. And they got dominated by the 49ers last week. So I'm going to put them at a D. Next is my Chicago Bears. I'm going to put the Bears at a C. Justin Fields looked drastically better this week, and I think that is his best game. And I think that was his best game this year against the Vikings last week. The Bears started off very slow and it looked ugly, but they still fought and they still came back in this game. And if it probably wasn't for Smith-Marset strip fumble, they might have had a chance to either take the game in overtime and possibly win that game. I'm going to put them at a C mainly because they don't start out fast. They do not start out fast at all. This team, halftime adjustments, great. First half, they got to start out fast, but I'm not going to go too much deeper in the Bears. Next is the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to drop them to a B. The offensive line has been a little bit better. They still struggled at times, but defensively, they were able to get interceptions. They're able to create turnovers. Trey Hendrickson, Sam Herbert is able to get after the quarterback. I just think that this Bengals team, they just have to find some type of rhythm offensively. Offensively, it's been a hit or miss. They just have to find some type of a rhythm offensively to be consistent on that side of the ball. Next is the Cleveland Browns. This is another tough team to grade, but they almost came back and beat the Chargers last week. I'm going to put them at a B. I think this is a mid-tier team too. Defensively, they play solid. Offensively, Nick Chubb has been running the football extremely well, as Kareem Hunt. Jacoby Brissett has been a placeholder, solid. But I just think this team is a mid-level football team right now. Next is the Dallas Cowboys. This is a tough team to grade, but I'm going to put them in an A. Cooper Rush has come in and played, I'm not going to say unbelievable football, but he has led this team steady as ship. And that defense is something special. Michael Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. This defense has been playing some extremely good football. Offensively, the running game with Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard have carried them. Defensively, this team is just special on the defensive side of the ball. And give credit to Dan Quinn for having that defense ready. And give credit to Mike McCarthy for having Cooper Rush playing solid football as he is right now. Next is the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are a C. This team, I expected them to be a lot better than what they are right now. They're just not. They are just not. Offensively, they just cannot find any rhythm. Defensively, have been keeping them in games. It just offensively, they have just not found any bit of a rhythm at all. They get in the red zone and they struggle. That is the big killer of the Broncos this year, is that they just cannot convert touchdowns in the red zone. Next is the Detroit Lions. I'm also going to put the Lions at a C. This team is just, it's hard. It's like they score a lot of points, but they give up a lot. But last week, they didn't score any and they gave up a lot. So they have been improved. I will give credit to Dan Campbell. They've been a much improved looking football team. They just have to learn to win some of those games. And defensively, they have to do something because they look bad and they look bad all season. Next is the Green Bay Packers. I had them at an S last week, but I'm going to drop them with that loss to the Giants. The Giants, I'm not going to speak too much on them at this point, but the Packers, they had chances to win that game. They just could not stop the running game and Saquon Barkley. They could not do it. And that's been a little bit of a struggle for this Packers team most of the year, is the running game. Offensively, they still haven't gotten the clicking with the receivers and Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to drop the Green Bay Packers to an A. Next is the Houston Texans. I'm also going to put them at a D. It's coming off of a win against Jacksonville that is very much impressive, especially how the Jaguars team has looked this year. But this Texas team is just still in rebuild mode, to be honest. Next is the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to drop them to a C. That team, the offensive line is bad. It is bad. Matt Ryan's going to get killed. Defensively, it kept them in games. Offensive line has been terrible, especially with a line led by Quentin Nelson. That line has just not been able to protect at all. Defensively, they've been kept in games. Next is Jacksonville. I'm also going to put Jacksonville at a C, despite coming off of a loss to the Houston Texans. This Jaguars team is very much improved. They did not show it against the Houston Texans at home, but they are still a very much improved football team on both sides of the ball. Trevor Lawrence is starting to find some type of a rhythm this year, and his team is still rebuilding. They still have time to grow, but they are much improved. Next is the Kansas City Chiefs. I got to put them at an S tier for that comeback win against the Raiders. The Raiders had them where they wanted them, and in that second half, it just flipped the switch. Travis Kelce, 4 touchdown catches. This offense is still explosive without Tyreek Hill. Defensively, they still have some bit of question marks, but that front 4 with Chris Jones and Frank Clark have been excellent. They have been excellent. I still have some questions about their secondary, but their front 4 has been getting the job done on their defense. Next is the Los Angeles Chargers, coming off of a win against Cleveland. I'm going to put them at an A. They do have some injuries, which I think has kind of hurt this football team. But when Justin Herbert is clicking, this offense is really playing well. Austin Eckler has been very good this year. Defensively, they've had some injuries for the most part, which has kind of slowed them down a little bit. But I still believe that this Chargers team is an A at this point. Next is the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to drop them to a B. This team has been absolutely struggling. Matt Stafford has been creating turnovers. Defensively, they have not been able to really get after the quarterback, but only so much. Aaron Donald has been Aaron Donald, but the others have to make their presence known. And the wide receiver position outside of Cooper Kupp, not much has shown up. this Rams team is just struggling right now. And I think they miss the presence of Odell, and they miss definitely the presence of Von Miller to take some of that pressure off of Aaron Donald. Next is the Raiders. I hate to do it, but I'm going to drop them to a D. To have that game the way that they had it and to ultimately let another lead slip through their hands. The running game looked very good last night. Josh Jacobs looked like another beast last night. But this team, defensively, the secondary has been, I think, their Achilles heel. Their Achilles heel to even be in games, and then the secondary lets them up. Offensively, they have to be more consistent in the passing game, in my opinion. Darren Waller being out doesn't really help much. But the Raiders, they are just so underwhelming right now. Next is the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to drop them to a B. They do lose Tua. They do lose Teddy Bridgewater. They were the third string quarterback. And then they get the brakes beat off of them by the Jets. The Jets? Oof. Wow. That Dolphins team was much better, but you're on a third string quarterback, so I can only judge that bet only so much. Defensively, I would have not expected it, but this team did not look good at all against the Jets. Next is the Minnesota Vikings. This might be one of my most controversial takes right here, but I'm going to move the Vikings to an S. I'm going to move the Vikings to an S. Offensively, when they're clicking, they are clicking. And we saw that against the Bears. We saw that against the Green Bay Packers. They do need to be better in second half of games because some of the second halves of games they struggle. But it sounds weird for me to do it, but defensively, this Vikings team has looked a lot better. Offensively, when they're clicking, they are clicking. I really think they are better than Green Bay. Most controversial take, but I'm going to put the Vikings in an S. Next is New England. And this team is tough to grade. They're on their third string quarterback. I'm going to put them in a B. This team is it's all over the place. Defensively, they had bad games. Offensively, it just looked bad. And right now, they are a mid-tier football team. Mid-tier football team. So I'm going to put the Patriots at a B. And as well as the New Orleans Saints, I'm going to put them at a B as well. Jameis Winston being out doesn't really help this football team. Taysom Hill was the offense. Let's just face it. Taysom Hill was basically the offense against the Seattle Seahawks. Defensively, they have some holes to create. They really have some mistakes to basically correct. But this team is still mid-tier. It's just like they should be better than what they are, especially defensively. Next is the Giants. I'm going to put the Giants in an A. Who would have thought the Giants at this point of the year would be 4-1? Who would have thought they would have went to London and beat Green Bay? Nobody. Brian Daboll has this offense. I'm not going to say explosive, but they are an offense that they just get it done somehow, some way. They get it done. Defensively, they just get it done somehow, some way. Giants football team, they are a surprise. I think they are the most surprising football team. Maybe Minnesota too. But the Giants are a very surprising football team coming into this year. Next is their counterparts, the New York Jets. I'm going to put them in a B. This team, I did make a video about them. I think they were going to be more improved, and they've showed it. Zach Wilson has come back, and he's looked very solid in his second year. This defense looks solid, and they are a more improved football team. Sauce Gardner is starting to finally show why they drafted him so high. And this team is just much improved. Next is the Philadelphia Eagles, the only undefeated team left in football. They almost lost it against the Arizona Cardinals, but they found a way to win that football game. Jalen Hurts has been playing out of his world. This defense has been playing some really solid football. The addition of a guy like A.J. Brown to pair with Devontae Smith has paid off big time for this Eagles offense. And defensively, even though Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox are a little bit older, they've been playing some really good football along with Darius Slay, who has been just locking down anybody who's covering. Next is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I hate to do it, but I'm going to drop them to a D. They got embarrassed. That defense got embarrassed by the Buffalo Bills. And you don't expect that from a Pittsburgh Steelers team coached by Mike Tomlin. Even though TJ Watt is out, you just don't expect that. They got absolutely embarrassed by this Bills offense. And offensively, they look bad too. The Mike Tomlin under 500 streak could be in jeopardy. And it is in jeopardy. That team is just not very good right now. Next is the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to put the Seahawks at a C. Geno Smith he's been a hit or miss. It's like some games he just looked otherworldly, some games he just looked terrible. Defensively, I always thought that was where they're going to struggle, and that's exactly what has been happening. Defensively, they just don't look very good. Losing Jamal Adams doesn't help it either. But his team, coming into the year, we didn't expect them to be good, and they're performing right where we thought they would be. Next is the San Francisco 49ers, coming off of a big win against the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to put them at a B. I just want to see more of what this offense can do. It sucks that Trey Lance isn't playing. I was really hoping that he was able to play this year, but we all know what happened. Defensively is where they hang their hat, creating turnovers, turning those turnovers into touchdowns. This defense, led by DeMeco Ryans, the defensive coordinator, has been playing out of their mind. And the running game is the running game for the Shanahan's, which is their strongest. Next is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to put them in an A, even though offensively they have not really gotten it together, if you want to be honest. Offensively, it just hasn't been a typical Tom Brady-led offense. Now, they did have some receiver injuries. They did have the Mike Evans suspension. And defensively, they did get the brakes beat off of them last week by Kansas City, but they improved and they looked better this week. It's just offensively, they just haven't, I don't think, found the necessary rhythm to look like a typical offense that this Buccaneers team has been looking like under Tom Brady. Next is the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to put them in a B. They're coming off of a win against the Commanders, and they finally were able to get Derrick Henry going, which is, I believe, the key to that offense. Defensively, I don't think this Titans team is really that good on defense, to be honest. But I'm going to put the Titans at a B. And lastly but not least, we have the Washington Commanders. I hated to do it. I'm not doing this because that's the Bears' opponent this week. It's just, this offensive line is terrible. Defensively, they look a lot worse than what we thought they could be. Even though Chase Young isn't back yet, they still have some pieces on that front four that should have them look a lot better. They have some pieces on that secondary that should be a lot better, and they're just not. They're just not. So the Commanders have been underperforming. I thought they would be a little bit better than what they are right now. I never was one to believe in Carson Wentz to begin with, but it just looks bad, especially on that offensive line. It looks bad. When he has time, he's able to connect, but they have just been not protecting well at all. But here are my rankings for this week. Make sure you guys leave this video a like, as it always helps this channel to grow and boost the algorithm. Comment your thoughts down below. Do you agree or disagree where you rate your team stands at? And make sure you click the sub button and notification bell so you will not miss any of the content that I post. But I'm APW Sports, so that out. Make sure you guys stay safe, have a great next day, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.